Last time I had an eye appointment, my doctor was like, no car accident, getting close to 40. So.
Thanks for the reminder. I hate wearing glasses because my daughter always grabs my. Yeah, but like, and then she like stretches them all the way out.
It's kind of cute though.
It is. But when I can't see, it's not very cute. Or she grabs them and runs with them because she's done that too. What happened there?
The floor is yours when you're ready.
Okay. Welcome, everybody, to the November 6th Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. We always start out with a pledge of allegiance, so if you would please stand. Pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll next do a roll call. Robert Peckham, present. Beth Mossworth. John Biglarini. Here. Christian Chamberlain.
Here.
Heather Robinson.
Here.
Timothy Harrington.
Present.
Aaron Lehman.
Present.
Great, thank you. Everybody's here. And with that, I would love to start out with the minutes, approval of minutes.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, with regard to the October 2nd, 2024 meeting minutes, I move to approve.
Second.
Seconded by John. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Oh, that's easy and quick. Great. This will probably be a reasonably quick meeting tonight, but I always want to start out and say, if there's ever an emergency, hasn't happened yet, there's exits on the other side of the atrium and on either side of the boardroom, likely where you came in. Tonight, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call up the individuals for their applications. When I call you, please come up to the podium, state your name and address clearly for the record. So we need you to say that clear into the microphone. And then we will ask a series of questions of why you're asking for this application. And then we will either approve or decline it. And after that happens, there's some paperwork that goes back and forth, gets mailed out the next day. And then you have to finish your applications with the building department. Great. So with that, I'll start out with application 2024-134, which is Jeffrey Venezano. I hope I said it right.
Close. Jeffrey Venziano, 55 Harrogate Crossing, West Henrietta, New York, 14586.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Jeffrey, anything you want to add to your application?
No, sir.
So what is the need for having the widened driveway?
My daughters have gotten older and now want to drive. So basically we have another car. We have a 2-car garage, and this is extra space to park along the side as well without having to play shuffle cars.
Okay. And how many cars in your driveway? Will there be?
Right now we have 3, although my younger daughter's an eager driver. We might be up to 4 sometime in the foreseeable future.
Okay.
I've been there.
There now. We have 5 of it.
Any other questions from board members?
I have none.
Said this was a relatively easy one, so I think we can close this application. John?
Mr. Chairman, with regards to application ZBA 2024-139 for an area variance, I move to approve. Whereas the zoning board has duly advertised and held public hearings, has considered all relevant information, and has considered the potential benefits to the applicant versus the potential detriment to the neighborhood or community in relation to such variance. Now therefore be it resolved that the zoning board of appeals makes the following findings of facts. The variance will not result in an undesirable change to the characteristics of the neighborhood. Resident has a single car driveway and needs to be able to park more cars as his daughters are getting older. The variance cannot be achieved by some other alternative. Doing additional spaces to the right side of the property. The variance resulted is not substantial. Resident has multiple vehicles. A single driveway needs more space. The variance will not result in a negative effect to the physical or environmental. No environmental issues on the property. the difficulty related to the variance was self-created, but the resident does need additional parking in the driveway. And be it further resolved that based upon the above findings, the zoning board of appeals hereby approves the variance as presented.
Second.
Seconded by Beth, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Ms. Voss, I'd just like to mention that Aaron Lehman had stepped out and did not vote for this one.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even see him. on
Yep,
there.
thank you for that, Kev. And I couldn't quite hear who seconded that.
Beth,
Beth.
Did, thank you.
and we have obviously one abstain, I guess is what you call her, absent, so. So you're all set.
Yeah,
You'll have
well-
to finish the process, which is you'll get a letter saying that's approved, and then you'll have to finish the building with the building department, I
It
guess.
would just be with the highway superintendent for the driveway.
Okay.
With, what was that, Craig Barber?
Craig Barber, yes.
Okay, thank you.
You have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Good luck. Not with the driveway, the girls, yep. Next we have 2024-140, 141, and 142, which is Bob Johnson Lexus. Hello. Did you sign in by chance?
No, I came in a little late. I was gonna do
We're
it after.
done. Please promise you will.
Yep, absolutely. My name is James Ritzenthaler with Passero Associates, here on behalf of Bob Johnson Lexus. Bob Johnson took your hint from last time I was here. I was here for U of R, and I noted that Bob Johnson over down on West Henrietta Road, they were coming here for after the fact variance on a sign. So we are here beforehand this time.
Thank you. We prefer it this
So
way.
thank you very much for your time, and looking to move forward on this sign. So yeah, as you know, we're located at 4700 West Henrietta Road, right at the corner of West Henrietta and Lehigh Station. We're looking to put one new additional sign to support the Bob Johnson Lexus dealership now.
I think you're at the wrong building.
What's that?
Is Lexus now at the corner of Lehigh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yep.
why I was confused about the map. Got it.
So it's the old Patrick, yeah, the old Patrick, and then
Thank
Bob
you.
Johnson Buick GMC. Yep. So 4600 just to the north is that developed site. That will be the new site for Bob Johnson and for GMC and Buick. That's in the process for with the town as well. But yeah, so we're at 4700 right at the corner there. As you know, it's a large site. We're about 10 acres. So we're looking for one additional site or one additional sign just to differentiate the new services there, who the new dealership is. We have 3 existing signs, one that is more just a function of the building there, part of the building, and then the 2 old existing signs on the western side of the property along West Henrietta and on the far southeast corner of the property along Lehigh. All 3 of those are staying, one of which, like I said, is brand new. And the purpose of this sign is just to differentiate the new property, to add a little bit of name recognition when you're driving by. As I said, it is a large site. Driving by just tonight, I'm familiar with the site. When you are actually coming down to the corner, there's not actually much signage that you can see. We have significantly more street trees along the right of way than most other dealerships down West Henrietta Road, as well as the West Henrietta Road is elevated above the vast majority of the site. So we're just trying to make sure that people can see and identify the new dealership. We're requesting 3 different variances, allowing 1 additional sign for a total of 4, where 3 is currently allowed under variance. We are looking for a 35-foot high clearance of the sign, where 30-foot is currently allowed. Again, that's kind of a function of the fact that the site is depressed, considering or compared to the surrounding roads. And we're also looking for an additional 315 square feet allowed, where we are currently allowed 700 and just shy of 740 square feet for the whole site covered under current variance. So, we're not trying to go too obnoxious. We're not trying to be too standout. It matches with the type of neighborhood when the car dealerships around there. We have almost an identical sign in the general style to the other luxury brands nearby, like the BMW and the Mercedes. And yeah, I'd like to put this in front of you guys for consideration tonight.
The existing pole sign that's along West Henrietta Road is a used car sign. Is that still remaining used cars?
Yes, that will remain.
The existing pole sign on Lehigh Station, how is that differing from the one that you're proposing?
So that one will remain as existing. That will still currently say, as it says now, Buick and GMC. The two sites, the 4600 and the 4700, are connected. So that sign will remain as is for right now. We don't have any plans to change it.
So where the one that says Buick, GMC, et cetera,
Mhm.
where's the entrance up to the newer property?
That's the northeast corner of 4700 along the eastern edge of the property to the north, 4600, the new Buick GMC dealership. And there's going to be, when that dealership is finished, a access road through there. So they will be connected. Yep.
So that access road is yet to be built, and that's the need for Lexus to have its standalone sign
Yeah,
that you're proposing?
Yeah.
Okay. Will that confuse any of the customers as to which entrance?
don't believe so. I think the two will be conjoined and kind of help get people out of the street and that turn, on the hill for West Henrietta, for the new dealership, and the turn for into the now Lexus dealership that then kind of snakes down along the road. Those ones, in my opinion, are less ideal entrances. This is kind of people who, a lot of people come here for price shopping on all the different dealerships and want to review cars. You hop off 390 there, you're right into the Bob Johnson like joint dealerships, sister dealerships there, and you can kind of get in and move through that campus, for lack of a better word.
So there is one entrance off of Lehigh Station. So you're indicating that that entrance will have clear marking once they turn in as to where they could go for the GMC Buicks versus the
It's all the
Lexus.
same.
So we-
building, though.
It's the same entrance. So you're asking for a pole sign on one side of the entrance and keep the existing pole sign, which is already approved,
Yeah.
on the other. My question for the Lexus part of that, what is
Mhm.
giving the customer the indication that that's the entrance that they should go into for this sign?
Yeah, so I guess the building and the new pole sign will clearly designate this area as Lexus. We don't have any plans for the existing GMC and Buick sign right now, but if we were to run into any issues and we needed to change it, or we need to show new signage on site to better direct people, I think that's something that we can work with the town with. But
And the 35 feet, what predicated that 35-foot mark versus staying at 30, which would be town code?
It's really just kind of a function of, I don't know if you guys have the street view available or anything. I probably should have printed a bigger picture, but when you're looking from Lehigh Station, there are street trees that kind of block the building a little bit. That brand new sign right adjacent to the building, you can't really see from a lot of different areas between, they park their larger vehicles and then the street trees there. As you're coming down West Henrietta Road, the site is elevated quite a bit above the whole car dealership as it on its own. I think it was just a little bit of that, trying to make sure that for an investment on the sign, the visuals are.
So I think what you may be trying to say is based on the topography of the
Yeah.
location.
Yeah.
That is the need for the extra 5 feet.
Yeah.
But you can't see the large L on the building that's existing now.
Well, I think you can see it, yes, but that's just the reasoning that we have so far, is just to kind of elevate a little bit based on the topography around nearby. But
Are the, so Bob Johnson owns, I guess technically 3 different dealerships in this campus. Are those dealerships separated physically in the building, or are they one shared space?
I'm sorry.
So if I
Say
were
again?
to walk into Bob Johnson Lexus, would I have to go outside the building to walk over to the GMC side of that, or the used
Yeah,
car?
so this building is completely and solely Lexus. The new Bob Johnson Buick GMC building is on 4600 property, or 4600 West Henrietta Road property to the north. It'll be a completely separate building. There are no Buick GMC services being provided at Lexus right now. It's just the sign is a bit more of a holdover currently, while that property is being built as well.
Hmm.
Just for the board's information, 4600, the old Vista Inn,
Mhm.
Yeah.
it has special use permit
Yep.
to build a building there from 2022, I think it was. Right now, that property is for overflow parking for new vehicles
Yep,
at the moment. So
I see that.
that's all that's up there. So there's no dealership, there's no customers on that property. It's just for parking.
Mhm.
at
Yeah,
the
they
moment.
block it off with cars.
Right.
You said that there's gonna be a service road that comes down from the new building that they're putting down to the Lexus?
Yeah, there is a
Big
serv.
drop there.
Yeah, but it's has plans to be graded out and all that, and yeah, but there is plans for a service road.
The service
connecting
road
the
is
two.
already in.
Yeah, but yeah, it's not really connecting anything right now because we haven't completed construction at 4600. But yes, the service road is already in.
Have you thought about getting rid of the trees? Just because I know you're saying that it blocks
Yeah.
the view of the current signs. Have
Mhm.
you thought about maybe revamping up, especially since you're doing all these improvements to the site?
Yeah.
And then soon next door, the next parcel, maybe revamping the site to better suit your needs?
So no,
That would be a planning board action anyway, the
Yeah.
landscaping package.
and as many an experience with the Conservation Board of Henrietta,
Them too.
they don't like me
Okay.
removing trees, but yeah, it's something that we could try if it got to that, but no, we have not looked at that. Personally, I believe that generally the planning board and the conservation board prefer to keep their trees, and slightly taller, modern aesthetic sign plus trees is probably nicer overall.
Have
is
you
our thought.
guys explored other options of where to put the proposed pool sign?
There are some other options, yes, but this is one that it doesn't conflict as well, or it doesn't conflict as much with snow storage locations that we have in our islands and the ends of some of the drive aisles.
Okay.
It's located in that tiny little island there in the middle where it can be seen from both streets. It's not used for anything else.
And it's not
It-
blocking the road view.
Yeah,
of anything.
yeah.
See,
So
but
we,
it's huge.
yeah, we have looked into some, but we felt that this was a better spot.
Now, is this pole sign, is this like Lexus's standard size or?
No way.
That I don't know myself off the top of my head, whether it's a standard for
Okay.
all dealerships, but
There's
yeah,
no way they
unfortunately, I
would
don't
make
know.
it 35 foot by 9 foot mandatory.
Yeah.
Are you, is the owner sure that this is the location they want the signs?
Yeah.
And the reason I bring that up is because, you know, say in however many years, there's a new, better place for Lexus and they go there.
Mhm.
Now we have a property that is allowed 4 pole signs pretty much anywhere they want within the setback.
And 35 feet tall by 10, 9
Right.
feet wide.
And they could put those right all in one spot if they wanted to. So, you know, for me at least, I can't speak for the other 6 members, but at the very least, that this would be limited to the location showing on the plans with no more than 1 sign per side, or, you know, something of that language. Or 1 sign per street face, or maybe 2 maximum, right? Because I would certainly not want 4 pole signs in a row along Lehigh Station.
You're looking for a limitation if we do an approval.
Yeah, if I were comfortable with it,
So
at the
there's-
very least.
Okay, so for the board's sake, there's 3, just to repeat this, there's 3 items at stake or at
Mhm.
variances. 4th pole sign is one of them, a 35-foot versus a 30-foot variance. And then the final one is total square footage, 1,054 versus 739.
Don't forget the 9 foot above grade clearances, which is required by code, and what they're providing is 0. That's
Right.
included with the 35 foot above grade.
And that, you know, if we were to allow that variance on the 9 foot, they
Right.
could put that right up against the road within the setback and potentially block the view later on.
I mean, I think where they're proposing is not an issue,
No.
No, but his
Right.
point,
but is.
The location that could be.
Location would have to be 20 feet off of the right of way.
Right, and I
So-
understand that.
Minimum.
And that would still concern me, like if they were to put that, you know, say right at 20 feet on that corner, you know, you're still blocking with something that massive.
We're quite a ways away from the property boundary.
Yeah.
No, I
The
understand
problem-
that.
Yeah,
the
what are
problem,
you saying?
problem being addressed by our board member is that these variances go in perpetuity with the property.
Mhm.
So if we say, yes, you can do this today, it doesn't say you have to put it in that location.
Mm.
It says you have 4 pole signs available to you with 1,054 square feet, and they can be 35 feet high.
I understand. Okay.
So we have to think about this moving forward, not just you. It looks great the way you guys have it
Mhm.
designed. It does, I think it looks nice. We're concerned about what happens when Bob Johnson leaves. Maybe they
Yeah.
won't, but realistically, in all of time, they will.
Mhm.
That's our concern. And we're grappling with this because it is a large request. It's a large facility.
How tall is the existing used car pole sign that's on the West Henrietta entrance?
Oh,
And why couldn't the new Lexus sign be the same size as that?
Or that. Or specifically.
Well,
that.
I think I'm looking at the 3D render and considering each of the perspectives.
Mhm.
It's a good spot, it's a good sign. But if the used car side on the West Henrietta side is sufficient and it's pre-existing, why couldn't the new Lexus on the Lehigh station be the same size?
so I don't know the height of that sign. But I think the idea was a new sign to match the more modern aesthetic of the whole building. And like we said, we have put a lot of time and energy into revamping that whole building. So
What are you gonna be doing with the existing pole sign again on the I Station Road? Down towards.
Buick sign.
the Buick
the Buick
GMC,
sign, yeah, sorry.
we don't have any changes proposed to that one at the moment. So
You weren't thinking about just taking that down and then using that 3rd pole sign variance for the new sign?
no, we don't have anything proposed to be changed for that right now. If the client has any plan changes in the future, then we can come back and talk about those. But as of right now, we don't have any plans for that one at the moment.
So Buick GMC won't be in that parcel any longer, right?
It won't be in the future, no.
What's everybody thinking? Should we?
Is there any question?
Oh, thank you. Are there any questions from members of the audience or comments? Go ahead.
Mike Stafford, liaison from the town board. A quick question, I'm not real clear. Have they already got a variance for a 3rd sign already? Was there only supposed to be allowed two and they got a variance for a third and now they're going for a fourth? Is that what,
Yep.
how I
Well,
understand?
this
it?
was
That's correct.
April, and they got the variance for the third sign, that's the monument sign that's kind of attached to the building.
Okay. And then the other question is, when they build at 4600 West Henrietta Road, the new GMC
What
Buick,
happens to that sign?
how many signs are they gonna be requesting at that location too? That's the only,
Mhm.
Valid point.
so that's only my only two questions. Thank you.
Thank you. So,
It's a separate property, so that wouldn't be.
well, but it does, it's the package that's being addressed. So what is that's a great question that our audience member had. What is the plan for Buick in the future? Why do you need the sign there when Buick's gonna be a separate property?
As far as the plans for the future 4600 property, I don't have the details in front of me for those, and
It's
it
safe
is
to
a,
assume they're gonna put a sign there.
I would agree that it's safe to assume yes, but it is a separate property.
But that would mean that this sign is a void sign on this property.
And if there are, yes, to an
Like
extent,
because
there
this
is,
sign doesn't represent the property it's on when that other one is operating.
when that other one in the future is opened, yes, this sign on Lexus property would say Buick GMC and
And there's
would
no
not be
reason
accurate.
this one would be here.
Well, and they could just build another one to replace it if they wanted.
Yeah, this is a bit of a dilemma for us.
Okay.
And so I think, what are other options that you've floated with the team? Because I'm sensing, although I'm not the answer, I'm sensing from the group that this is definitely something that we're not that fond of.
Okay.
It's not that it looks bad, it doesn't. It does cause us some dilemma for
Mhm.
our problem that we started to explain to you.
Yeah.
And so Mike brought it up, we've all sort of bounced around a little bit. There's extra signs here in our opinion.
Mhm.
If you're leaving, it might not be tomorrow, it might be 3 years from now. But if your Buick is leaving to go up the street one parcel, the connected parcel, this doesn't make sense to have that sign there.
I think the idea is that it's still a connected Bob Johnson campus.
So they're just trying to get more signs.
I wouldn't describe it as that. We have a new Lexus dealership. We have, is that gentleman okay?
Okay.
Okay. Sorry, I just want to make sure. We have a new Lexus dealership. We're in need of clear branding for the new services
Understood.
shown there. There is already an existing Buick GMC sign, and in the future there will be a connected Bob Johnson campus. To us, I think that if you're putting up a sign and you're putting up a Lexus sign, it's makes sense to reuse what we already have and for the connected campus and keep or put in place a new
Could
sign.
you reinvent the Buick sign to be Lexus and Buick GMC?
I think we'd still be here with size and area variances anyways
Yeah, but that's
for,
less for us. Our
Yeah, but
goal,
then
one
you're-
of our goals.
but then you don't have a Lexus sign anywhere near the West Henrietta intersection. No one coming from the south into that intersection is going to be able to see that sign.
I mean, for-
Well, I don't know if I agree with that because
For
right
me-
now there was not an extra sign for Buick GMC
Right.
or I don't know, 20 years. I don't know how long it's been there.
Yeah,
A
there,
period of time.
Yeah.
I haven't had an extra sign in the middle of the parking lot, 35 feet tall for Buick GMC. And there was wall signs like you have,
Mhm.
which are high up. They're probably 30 feet off the ground too. I can't read the dimensions on the page, but it's up there.
And I don't know why, I mean, for me, I don't know why they couldn't temporarily put placeholder signs on the new Lexus sign and demolish the existing Buick sign and then take the Buick and GMC off the Lexus sign when it's done.
But I do think it's a valid point that West Henrietta Road traffic wouldn't see the sign if the Buick became the Lexus sign, because it is pretty far away. And if you were only West Henrietta, north or south, you wouldn't be looking that far to the east to see that Lexus sign.
Tim, it's on the facade of the building.
and if you look at
There's a
the,
massive pylon at the building.
Oh,
right?
I see it going down West Henrietta Road.
It looks
It's,
great.
it's
Like,
very prominent, which I have no issues with.
Right.
So I don't, my debate with you, Tim, is that I don't think you're void of signs knowing that it's Lexus.
Well, okay. Yeah. But an island Lexus is drawing much more attention to the eye, especially to a new facility than the one that's attached to the building.
That's true.
I have no issues with the location. I just have the issue that to me, this is a phasing problem for them and they're getting an
Mhm.
extra sign out of it.
Can you get rid of the used car sign?
I'd have to ask the client, but I can tell you it's not really a phasing issue. It's
Why isn't it a phasing issue?
because we're not looking to change the used car
No,
sign
because
or
Buick.
To me, it is a
or the-
phasing issue because you're not gonna have Buick there anymore and that sign's gonna have to be covered up, removed, replaced,
Oh, they
something.
want to leave it.
They're gonna
because
leave
you
it
can
there
still drive
even
through.
with
That's
the
what he's
next
saying.
one.
there's no current plan
You're-
to
you're
change.
Getting extra signs, though. That's what you're saying.
So I just want to clarify, there's no plan to change the used car or the Buick GMC signs right now. I just want to clarify that we're not trying to finesse it and try and get another sign out of this. It's a feeling for a need for a new sign to distinguish the new Lexus dealership. If you look at that sign that is attached to that wing wall, attached to the building, I don't know if you guys have the site plan in front of you as well, but you can
We
see it outlined in red. The Lexus is prominently shown on either side of that wing wall, but the wing wall points directly at that intersection. So anybody in that intersection, unless you're passing through and already kind of passing by the dealership, you're not going to be able to see that new wing wall at all. This is to prominently show anybody sitting at that dealership or sitting at that corner where the dealership is. So now, yes, I understand it's a large dealership, but it is to kind of,
It's large.
yeah, and but they are, and everybody's probably going there with GPS anyways. But if you're not, they are offset to make sure that we're covered at different angles.
The thought is, once you leave that one sign, what do you call it, the Buick sign.
Mhm.
If after they move up the road, there won't be access for that other dealership behind, go up. The only access for the new,
46.
at 4600. The only access for that is gonna be on West Henrietta Road, right?
I'm not certain,
Okay.
and that's,
I think that would be the main entrance, of
Yeah.
course, but in the back,
Back, yeah.
there's a access road. And I don't know if that's gonna be traversed by patrons or just shuffling cars back and forth by staff. I don't know.
Okay, so
They leave the sign there, they're expecting.
people are gonna go in there
They're
thinking
gonna
that's where
expect
the
it to
entrance
be
is.
an entrance too.
Well, correct. But you have to go past the sign quite a ways to get to the main entrance in front of the Lexus building. Then you have
That's
to snake
interesting.
through everywhere to go through. So.
Okay, I think for the sake of meeting focus, I would like to table this till the end. So I'm gonna have you have a seat for a
Mhm.
moment and while
Absolutely.
you're grabbing a seat, sign in.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna call up the next people, then we'll reopen for
Great.
our discussion, okay?
sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next one is Hagar Road, 2024 144 61 Hagar Road. Welcome.
Good evening. Tim and Trudy Kelly, 61 Agar Avenue.
Welcome.
Thank you.
One big question I had when I was reviewing your application was, I said that your driveway is pre-existing. How long has the driveway existed as, basically, I know it cuts in when it goes to the road, but in its current configuration, how long has it been like that?
I don't know. I just bought the house 3 years ago.
So it's before
More
you,
than
Yeah, it
that.
was
more
before
than
I-
that. So
Yeah.
it's, this one says pre-existing, so it's like
Correct.
it already encroaches into the setback as it is.
Correct.
But it's just the fact you want to be able to continue it down
Right.
to the road. Okay. All right. So I didn't know when you said that. I wasn't sure if you knew when it had been installed like that, because if it was originally, maybe it's a one lane and then it was widened and who
Could be.
knows when. And so basically it looks like there's only this small little piece that kind of where it starts to turn in is where it kind of, because the setback, it's kind of, if they had just built it non-conforming a little bit further down towards the road, it wouldn't be an issue at all, would it? But,
Exactly.
yeah, I have no problems with it. It's very minor. I think that there's other houses.
I have a couple of questions. What's the purpose for extending it all the way down the end?
Just to park more cars. Just, we have, so the house has an in-law setup. And so we have company we entertain frequently, and many times they're parking on the cul-de-sac just out on the road. And we have 4 vehicles in the household. And so we're either jockeying cars around to stay off of the road. So it just gives us a couple more parking spaces.
Have you also spoken with your neighbor about the fact you want to extend the driveway? Have they said anything? I know
Yeah.
they're not here, obviously.
I mean, I don't really know a lot of the neighbors. The house across the street just sold, and then Craig Barber is just to the west of us a little bit. 8 out of the 10 homes on that road are double wide driveway. Our house is the only one that's single that goes up to a double, and then there's one more house across the street from us that's a single wide driveway. All the other homes are double, and even in the cul-de-sac, I believe there's 6 homes. They're all double wide. So whether they were built that way or they were extended or widened like we're trying to do, I don't know, but I'm just keeping up with the Joneses a little bit, I guess, also.
I
No,
just
but
didn't know if your neighbor had said anything, or if you knew if they had, building up to a lot line, they could be.
nope,
cool with it or not.
the house directly where the driveway is going to widen towards their home. I talked to both of the guys one night, and I did not get a letter from them, but I told them that that's what we wanted to do. And they said, yeah, sounds great. They didn't object. They didn't oppose at all. And if they had an issue with it, we really wouldn't do it. We're not in the, business of upsetting neighbors just to get what we want. So, but I did talk to them. We were all hanging out with Craig in the driveway one night and talking, and I told them that, hey, we're going to apply for this variance and we want to widen the driveway. And they're like, okay, sounds good.
So a question I have, you do have a tree up there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How close will this be to the tree? And
Oh, I
what
would-
are thoughts about, one of the concerns that I thought about and one of our board members discussed is that in order to put in a driveway, you're going down, I don't know, 6, 8, 10 inches. I
Yeah.
don't know what it is, some
Mhm.
depth. And how much effect is that going to have on the tree, including its root structure?
I'd have to measure how far away it is, but I would guess we're 10 feet away. It's a pretty big tree, so I would imagine we definitely get some feeder roots anyhow. I don't think it's a big tree, and the roots I'm sure are deep, and I would think we'd go down 8 inches, putting in 6 inches of crusher rundown, but you're gonna scrape and dig. You're probably gonna go down an average of 8 inches, right? And then stone on top of it. So I think we'd hit some feeder roots, but I don't think that we would get main roots in that tree just
So,
because,
sorry,
but I don't know.
You-
I'm not a,
you're, so the tree roots likely extend outside the canopy of the tree,
Mhm.
and they're gonna be in the top 2 feet of soil.
Okay.
And it's not just the digging, it's also the compaction.
Mhm.
And when you're looking at this particular piece, you're going to be doing that for 50% of the root cover, or you're covering 50% of the root, 50% of that side of that tree. So when you do that over that big of an area, it's just as like hitting a main root. And may it be okay? Maybe. Can it stress the tree out and kill it in 1, 5, 6 years? Yeah.
Mhm.
And
So
what compounds on that is that I fully believe that you're probably not going anywhere, especially if you're investing in that much asphalt. But you may not be there, or the neighbor next to you may not be there going forward. So,
well, here's another question. Is it
Yeah.
your tree?
It's actually in the right of way.
Yeah.
I
It's
look
It's in
at
the
it.
right of way.
Yep.
So it's your tree.
It's our tree.
It's our tree, yes. It's Craig
It's all
Barber's
about
tree,
it.
actually.
um,
Because if you look at the right of way, it cuts right in front
Right
of
in
your
front of
house
it.
quite a bit. It's because of the cul-de-sac that they're at the lead edge of the cul-de-sac. So, but yeah, that tree is definitely within totally even the canopy is totally within the right of way. So like you said, yes, it's Craig Barber's problem.
And
And
also the roots could possibly cause some over time maybe could cause some buckling of your new part of the driveway too, so.
Would this change our opinion?
well, ultimately, what I'm saying is ultimately, if we approve this, we have to be okay with the fact that that could kill the tree. And it would be gone.
Mhm.
And that's ultimately the price. Now,
Well,
I'm 107
What is
or 6. 7, yeah.
Saying your neighbor doesn't know about that, maybe they,
it's not their tree.
well, it's on their, well, they would consider it their
Well,
property, but
At
it's,
that point in which the tree passes, maybe then the town.
if it's in the right of way, I guess, yeah, but it's still.
Good.
Would be less for them to deal with.
Okay. So with that, I'd like to get a straw man. Who's okay with this or who's opposed? I'm okay. So Aaron,
So I do have. I'm sorry, what is the total width of the driveway at the garage?
20.
20.5 feet.
Okay. So really, to fit 2 cars wide there, you really only need 18 comfortably.
True.
And only going to it creates a third line there. But I think that would allow you to have 2 rows of cars stacked instead of just one.
So it'd be more of a taper coming down to the bottom towards the road is
Correct,
what you're
yeah.
saying?
So you could add
The problem is you can't give them a tapering requirement. We have to agree to we're doing a 0 offset.
Right,
You're trying to avoid the offset or?
correct. So you could give them they could ask for less or more of an offset, right? Instead of 0, they could get 1 or 2 feet, right? To get that 18-foot wide driveway all the way through.
As it is right now, again, we're not talking about the right of way. I understand your issue with the tree, your concerns, but you're looking at just that little corner. If you push this over 2 feet, they won't even need this variance because they're gonna be,
It's just.
well, they're gonna be in the right of way, essentially paving their right of way, and that would be on Craig Barber to approve or disapprove.
So I think it's the very corner. So the real thing.
2 square feet of
Aaron,
asphalt.
I'm sorry to tell you,
If that.
mathematically,
It doesn't matter.
we have an
Yeah.
answer.
Well, and so for me, it's more about you guys understanding the consequences, and not being
That's very
surprised
fair.
later. Because I'm sure the driveway company is not even thought or discussed about that tree with you.
And he's a landscape architect, so it's.
Yeah.
So with that, are there any other questions from the board?
No, and I'm okay with it if they're okay with it.
Yep.
How many cars do you have?
We have 4.
Is it just you 2 living there?
Nope.
No, this has an in-law.
Oh, yes, that's right. And you have people considering. Okay. I was just curious.
Okay, so with that, I think we can, any other questions from members of the audience? Okay, so with that, we can close this application.
Mr. Chairman, with regard to application number ZBA 2024-144 for an area variance, I move to approve as follows. Whereas the zoning board has 1, duly advertised and held a public hearing, 2, has considered all relevant information, and 3, has considered the potential benefit to the applicant versus the potential detriment to the neighborhood or community in relation to such variances. Now therefore be it resolved that the zoning board of appeals makes the following findings of fact. The variance will not result in an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties. The proposed width of the driveway extension is similar to other driveways in the neighborhood. The variance cannot be achieved by some other feasible alternative. The only way to widen the existing driveway is to reduce the side setback of the property to what is requested in the variance. The variance is not substantial. The driveway extension would be a minor enhancement to the property. The variance will not have a negative effect on physical or environmental conditions. And the difficulty relating to the variance was self-created. The applicant wants to widen their existing driveway, which is pre-existing non-conforming. And be it further resolved that based upon the above findings, the zoning board of appeals hereby approves the variance as presented.
I'll second.
Seconded by Heather. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion's carry. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have a great evening.
You as well. Next we have 2024-145 U of R Medicine Urgent Care.
Hi, it's Terry Zappia with Pierpont Visual Graphics. I'm with Mark Mary from the University of Rochester Real Estate. And we're basically applying for a variance for a second sign at the address is 1300 Jefferson Road. Currently, they're at that location now, but they're moving to another building just to the west of where they are now. So the existing building has 2 signs on it. So we want to do the same on the new building. The sign will be illuminated. The one in front will be very similar. It will be exactly what's there now. And the other sign that we're asking for will just say urgent care. And if you look at your drawing, it's to the right of the UR Medicine logo, urgent care. So it's similar to what's in Penfield, New York, and a few different locations. So we just want to be consistent with that. Does anybody have any questions?
We do.
Mhm.
One moment, please. I'm just looking at some other local pictures here. We are looking at your picture and we see the facade of the building and we see the layout that you have, which says U of R U of R, and then and my screen is not playing nice, but it has a second urgent care comment or sign there. Why do we have to have 2 signs there? Maybe it had it before, but why do we have to have urgent care and right next to it urgent care? Why can't we rearrange the sign there if you want it to be bigger? Why can't we change the layout a little bit to make U of R Medicine urgent care with the yellow logo, urgent care, over to the side, for example?
I mean, a lot of it is what the standard is for the university, how it's laid out. And then they want the second urgent care that's larger so people can see it from a distance. It's more of the hospital standards is what they use for all the locations, and they want to be as consistent. I mean, that's.
And I understand that, but I also see, what's out there now is they also have banners on almost every window face saying that logo with urgent care. So to me, that's a lot of repetitiveness. And I understand that you have the pedestrian scale and then you have the vehicular scale from the road.
Yep.
For me, from the road, I can still see urgent care twice pretty clearly.
And on your prior one, which was on the other side of Duncan, it did not have it duplicated. It was once with the same logo, urgent care in yellow. It was not duplicated next to the side of the building on the blue letters that you're looking to do now.
Yeah. So on the existing one, it faces. So it basically has a UR Medicine urgent care, the yellow one that faces south, and then in the other side that faces east is basically the same logo. But again, they're not next to each other. They're around the corner. So catching traffic that's heading west on Jefferson. But this was more of, instead of doing the 2 double logos, this is kind of the theme of as far as their standard goes, of putting a smaller urgent care with the UR Medicine and then a larger urgent care by itself.
So Terry, can I jump in here to give a little bit more background for these fine folks? U of R marketing originally came in with what they call the lockup. So if you've noticed at any of the University of Rochester urgent care sites throughout the county and in the region, they have the shield with the smaller urgent care sign. And then they have that top architectural feature that some call a sail, others will call a kite. But that is considered a marketing lockup and it's branding. Years later, as based on patient feedback and surveys, it was suggested that that signage was not as eye-catching as one would hope. And marketing then developed the channel letters that Terry is referring to, which have then been placed on existing urgent care sites. So rather than asking to duplicate what we have at the pre-existing urgent care site on Jefferson Road, meaning having one on the south face and then rotating the west or the east to then be on the west side of the new location, marketing thought it would be good to incorporate their new branding, which is improved wayfinding for the patient base, and have those channel letters on the front of that building. So that's the background for why we're asking for that.
One of the things that I noticed that's different, when you look at the old location in this direct vicinity, you had a truck dealership, or I don't know what it is next to you. Oh, you have L3 or something next to you. And there's a giant opening there, 6-8 lanes of cars in a parking lot next to that face. So you had there's a very bare wall if you didn't have something on there. A second sign is what I'm talking about. The new location that you have, which is now just across the access road from Duncan, that's not the most visible from the street no matter what. That's sort of blocked by Duncan. The other side of the building is blocked by woods. So you don't really have an opening on the side that's a need to see this. It's only from the face, in my opinion.
And that's why we're asking for those channel letters on the face of the building rather than asking to have that other shield relocated to the west side.
This newer location in Henrietta, is that larger than the other locations across Rochester?
It is. The existing footprint is roughly 4,600. The new location, 6,200 square feet.
Okay, so
With the ability to potentially take that end cap, which is off to the east of, I think that's about 1,800 roughly usable square feet. Currently vacant.
about the same. Same footprint in terms of if you're taking 1,800 square foot off the 6,000.
I think he said they currently have 6,000 that they could add 1,800.
Well, so the existing footprint now is roughly 4,200. We're going to 6,200 square feet at the new location, suite 500.
Feet of 6,200, you're indicating you could take off 1,800 for a different setup.
Well, there's another spot that's not rented there yet.
There's currently a vacant end cap next to our new urgent care suite of about 1,800 square feet.
Okay, is that part of the 6,200?
It is not. No, ma'am. That's a separate demise premises.
Okay, what additional services with this 6,200 that you would have at this Henrietta location versus other locations across Rochester?
The 6,200 has allowed us to expand our clinical footprint to mimic the new urgent care sites that we've developed over the last 6 to 7 years. Increasing the size has allowed us to incorporate more treatment area as well as exam rooms.
Okay.
So for procedures.
The additional urgent care that you're asking for in this variance, there are no other centers that have that additional urgent care across the front?
There are other sites, and Terry, I don't have all the addresses with the channel letters. The Penfield site is the most recent one
Okay, and that one
on
has,
Empire Boulevard.
because
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not seeing it at Victor, I'm not seeing it at Penfield, and I'm not seeing it at Greece.
There's one in Penfield by 441 and 250 across from Wegmans.
Right, and that has the additional urgent care channel letters across the front?
Yes.
And is that somehow made that more prominent because it's not displayed currently?
On Google Maps or in person?
It's 2 feet tall, but
Webster, according to Google Maps, does not have a large channel of urgent care either.
So
Yeah,
are,
that's my
Addition-
confusion. We have two Penfield sites. So the one on Empire's actually in Penfield, it's called Webster. But it's in the town of Penfield. Then we have the one at 441,
and has
also in the
that
town of Penfield.
urgent care channel lettering increased the traffic to the location?
The one in Penfield was in response to, again, the patient surveys that have been done over the years for wayfinding purposes. Yes.
To me, you know, the yellow urgent care and blue urgent care underneath the logo, I mean, it's almost 2 feet high and just short of 10 feet long. I mean, it's pretty large sign that to me is very clear from the road. And to argue that you need another one that's only a little bigger, but longer, I just don't see the need for that much urgent care signage, especially with the urgent care window signage that's going to be going in as well, I'm sure.
Do you feel that there's any, I mean, if they're getting patient surveys that say this, and this, I'm not saying we should or shouldn't do this, but if they're getting patient surveys that say it's hard to find, and obviously urgent care isn't, and hospital care in general is important for us. If it's hard for them to find it for any reason, is that I don't know, is it any different than any other sign? It's just a question that I'm asking.
Well, then to me, it's maybe the sign needs to be designed differently.
We also have to keep in mind that the pole sign that is going to be going up. I'm
Has it
assuming
as
we'll have
well.
U of R urgent care, on. I don't know if these gentlemen have a rendering of what that pole sign is.
Do you know what that pole sign will look like? Either,
That is with Benderson Development, I believe.
okay,
I
so-
do not have a rendering of that now.
Going to be a plaza sign for 1,300. Right now, there's the hotel there and then urgent care, and then the third vacant space. So there will be at least 3 businesses on that pole sign, that plaza sign.
So it's again additional. Okay, any further questions from the audience? Are there any other questions from board members? Who is it? Oh.
Mike Stafford, liaison
Hi,
from the
Mike.
town board. Yeah, I was gonna bring up, I thought it was about 3 months ago, they were here for permit for the roads pole sign on the road. I'm just curious how big, if we know how big that sign was. Because I can
I
tell
believe
you,
they only came in for the plaza sign. I don't think it was any higher than code. I don't recall if they had a second variance or not.
okay, because I can tell you when you're driving up Jefferson, which I do every day and live around the corner, I mean, that would be very visible going up Jefferson, any sign along there.
I agree.
It's on the road.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Okay. So are there any other board member questions? Because I think we might need to deliberate on 2 today. Okay, so with that, I'd like to pause this application for a moment while we deliberate. That was the last one, right?
I
So-
actually have an answer to Mike's question.
Answer next question.
So it's 30, so it's a plaza sign, it's 30 feet high by 13 feet 8 inches wide, and roughly the UR Medicine urgent care will be 4 foot 8 feet, 4 foot by 8 feet.
And notably, I'm looking at your screen, it says both U of R and urgent care on that
Correct.
plaza sign.
On the plaza sign.
Yeah.
I can.
Did you say 4 by 8? So
4 by 8.
32 square feet. Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Okay. So with that, I'd like to pause this meeting for a few moments. At what time is it? 7:58 on my computer here. During this pause, we don't get feedback from the audience at all. This is an internal deliberation, and there it is. Thank you, Heather.
Thank you for your consideration. We appreciate it.
Yeah, and hold on, and then we'll bring this back open in a moment, but we got to talk about it first. If Mike, if you would like to see it, this. Oh, you see the same.
Thank you.
Sorry.
And thanks for.
Okay, board. let's start out with well, we're on this one. Let's just keep talking about it. Very quick straw poll. Christian, you're the first person in my list.
I see what it looked like at the other location. I still think it's redundant. It doesn't, it's one of those things that I get the point that we want to have it large and people can find it in an emergency, obviously. But for it to be on there twice, it just seems like there's either they,
I would
Yeah,
argue
but-
3 times.
well, yeah, 3 times with the pole sign, true, yes. Not to mention the other signage they're gonna put up on their windows, which is not part of it, but which is their choice, yeah.
Okay, so yes or thumbs up or down?
At this point, I'm a no.
I know.
I'm leaning towards no.
Mr. Harrington?
I have needed urgent care and didn't know exactly where I was going. I think signage is critical. I think those, what was called campus signs don't serve that purpose. I think the building itself needs to be big and bold. But I think 3 urgent cares is redundant. I would recommend that they drop the yellow on the building and have the U of R medicine plus the large urgent care. I would vote no to the way it's written now.
I don't think we can. Okay, I'll address that in a minute. So you're a yes. I'm asking, that's not a statement. I'll come back. Aaron,
Did,
I am a no.
so.
I did want to note that during testimony, he did say that the U of R medicine rebranding is how they added the urgent care below.
Mhm.
So I don't think, I mean, we could propose it to
No.
eliminate it, but I don't think they're going to.
I think he said we will ask again when we open this. I think he said that the stuff that's there, the yellow and the shield and the U of R medicine is what they've had all along. It's not a rebrand. There was a surveys done that said they can't see it. According to the testimony I heard. And with that, they then added the large letters of urgent care. Not fancy, not just very utilitarian visually. To me, it's clean,
Yeah.
but it's utilitarian. I think it's in line with the visual that they have, but it's utilitarian. So we're 1, 2, 3, 4. So, is there any concession or change that you would accept? Now, this is where your question comes in, Tim. If you told them to say, if we said, no, it's not approved, I don't think we can tell them to use a certain sign color or anything.
No.
You're either gonna approve a second sign or you're not. I think. I guess we could try to make a thing so that this is sort of problematic because of that.
Now, I
I
would.
feel like I'd like to see it look different. You sort of can't do that.
For me,
We can deny it.
The
Well, but the
question
problem is if we decline it, then they can't reapply.
They're,
But if we do that, we just decline. Can they reapply right? I don't think they can.
Same thing.
Well, if it
Totally
changes.
different.
if it's, yeah, if it's different.
Well, I mean,
we could-
they'd be requesting a second sign. I mean,
Right.
I don't know.
That's my dilemma here that I'm hearing
Right.
when we say it. I know what I'd like to
It's
see.
fine if they just removed one and put it over on the other part, because it's no longer part of that box, that initial box.
That makes the second sign.
Now, out of curiosity, could we, if they wanted to have the opportunity to maybe rethink this, could we table it for next meeting?
Sure, but
Just throwing the idea out there.
sure, but I think I'm looking at Eric for a reason here. Are we? This is a hard one to do, right? If we don't want it the way it is, then we can just say no.
You don't want it the way it is. I mean, what's the alternative?
Try to get them to redesign it, but in the end, we're just getting a second sign.
You design the logo?
Right.
Looks like one's their logo and then the other one is, like you
Just
said,
finding.
like the service.
It's just words.
Not quite a directional sign, but it's a It's still signage for what the, the business is.
This is a dilemma because the poll and logic suggest that the yellow urgent care is probably not enough. And if we reject and they drop the large urgent care and are left with only the smaller yellow, then we've got patients that maybe aren't seeing the building as the urgent care.
But we're also at a location that literally is just moving slightly
Mm-hmm.
to the left. So people already know that there's an urgent care facility there.
Well, if they know the area.
Yeah.
That's assuming they're
It
recurring.
could be at the hotel though.
It'll be noon.
And
Right.
for me, I can't let go of all the windows. So if I am, say I've been flying down and I'm not going to the ER, but I'm going to urgent care. I'm gonna see the big gold blue urgent care sign pylon sign, right? Driving down east or west. When I pull into that lot, there's urgent care plastered on the windows. It's up high. Like I have a hard time.
I agree.
You can't see it. And it's right there at the corner. It's not like it's tucked in, buried into the development. I mean, it's right there when you come in.
I get it, but people are,
Well, so the reason I'm pausing here is because I have a little bit of, I understand what people are trying to do, but I don't have a firm standing that I believe we have an answer. We are
Yeah.
right on the bubble.
Hmm.
Tim, I'm gonna ask you again.
Yes, no, I've rethought based on that comment. I think if it was anything else, I'm changing my tune here. Based on new data. If it was anything else, I would say it's redundant. I would just flat out vote for it. But I think it's important enough that in this case, redundant is okay because it's urgent.
I'm in the same boat. So 2, 3. Only 1, 2.
But also because of,
Still 4. Were you yes or no? You were no. 2. You're no, and you're no. Okay, so no. Okay. So the second one is Lexus.
yes.
And there's, I think I agree tremendously with Aaron's comment that it's I think you called it a race condition or a, whatever the right word is.
Phase,
A phase condition.
yeah, phasing.
I think Buick GMC will become redundant or extra when they build that other facility.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're gonna build a much bigger, better looking GMC.
For sure.
so, but to respect his comment that it's a campus, right? I understand that, but I think that the current Buick GMC sign is so far away from the other building that a customer wouldn't associate this entrance to that other new facility.
Then they shouldn't be going in that entrance.
Right, that's my point. So I think that Buick GMC sign is now unnecessary,
Is or is not?
is now unnecessary. If they put in the Lexus
Because
dedicated.
they could have put Lexus at 4,600. And kept Buick GMC on that corner, which everybody has already, and when I say everybody, we're talking about the town of Henrietta residents. Who have predominantly been here a few years that know that that corner predominantly has been GMC.
Mm-hmm.
And now they want to make it Lexus.
So now we're going to make this very large campus Lexus. And have a newer facility, which would be GMC. So, I mean, that's where it begets one thing is, we don't know if this is a real direct way for a consumer to, I mean, they're bypassing that intersection if you're gonna turn in to the Lehigh Station to get up to GMC, you're bypassing the intersection. That's really all you're doing.
Mhm.
You would have to know both of them have that access road.
Hmm.
So I don't believe that it's begets the need for the GMC. I believe that this force sign is way over redundant, given the very large.
The third,
Third
yeah, the third
sign that was approved a few months ago, which should have satisfied at that point or made larger or taller, excuse me, for the topography of the area and planned ahead for. This just seems like, oh, they're gonna give us one because we're Lexus and Bob Johnson.
Okay. Any other contributions to that?
I think that the final piece for me is like every car dealership, one day it will change hands, whether it's 5, 10, 20 years from now, it doesn't matter. Now that lot has the ability to have 4 pylon signs that are that big,
Correct.
and it doesn't matter where they put them.
I understand exactly why they need the extra 5 feet because. Well, no, that's what they're saying, but I don't think that's justified. I think that. It's something that I think 30 feet is still adequate for that area, because it's not,
You're okay, Christian, with an extra sign not as tall.
I'm
Maybe
I'm
not as
okay
much.
with the, well,
I'm asking, so there's three applications here,
Right, but all three of them hinge on the first.
the extra sign.
I,
So are you okay with, so the question to start is, how are you with the one with the extra sign?
the extra sign, I think that's too many.
Okay, so that's done.
Right, well, I was just discussing the height thing too, but yeah, that's,
Well,
first one also is,
if the
yeah.
first one is no, then
the rest
The
is.
rest are no.
I'm saying no.
Okay,
Did bring it up, but we want to review it. If you want to review
I
it.
would like to see it.
Is there any feedback or advice we could give to them? Make the new Lexus sign shorter, get rid of the old Buick GMC, for example?
Let me ask the question again real quick. The first question that I want to answer, at least straw poll as we stand here from, or not even straw poll, how you would vote for the extra wall sign. I want to be clear. I'm sorry, pole sign, pole.
The pole sign, no.
Okay, I'm just making sure I'm covering it.
Still no.
No, unless it was shorter.
So you're maybe. I'm gonna leave it a maybe for right now for you. Heather?
Mm-mm.
No.
I would be for it if it was shorter.
Aaron?
I would be okay if it were restricted to be a certain distance from the road.
It's pretty far right now.
No, but I mean, for
Oh,
all,
documentation.
right, so for the life of the variance, like somebody couldn't come in and decide, well, I'm dosing that sign and I'm gonna push it right up to the.
Well, they can't because they got the 20 foot, they got the 20 foot.
No, no, he means keep it, Aaron is telling me, tell me if I'm interpreting right.
Mhm.
He's telling me that he will accept it only in this location.
Correct.
However, we need to just look at what was presented to us. And that's a fourth. Regardless, this is a single dealership.
Mhm.
If it was one of the ones that are on
It's
West.
a double dealership.
Single.
No, currently it's at
Right.
single.
You have to go by face value of what it is. You're looking at a single dealership. The only thing that's going to be at 47 or whatever this is.
Well, and
It's
I,
going to be Lexus, regardless of what is up the hill or what might still remain on that lot, because you have used cars for that reason.
I'm not a,
Eric, is that true? I'm just asking for clarity. Is it a true statement that we could? The testimony is there's 2 dealerships there right now.
Technically.
Dealership next door.
And they bought the space next door, which will be a dealership. But it's not yet,
It's an adjacent property.
But you're still looking.
with the
at
intent of,
Mhm.
Technically, you could say it's all dealerships because it's still Bob Johnson regardless
yep,
of the sign that's on the building.
right.
that's true.
So, but there's nothing special about this 35-foot sign.
Yeah.
That would be the fourth. Now, if it said something like, free service because you're buying a Lexus, that would be different. This is a different unique situation, why we need X, Y, and Z. It's an L.
So, I'm a no on this because I'm not okay with a 4 sign. I don't think they need a 4 sign.
And there isn't a lot of supporting testimony to saying this is why.
Right.
Mhm.
I'm fine with it. I'm just asking the questions. I wanted to be sure that I'm covered. The other piece of, and we should be sure we're covered on this.
Yeah.
The other thing is, on both, the other thing is, there's a square footage request, so that's declined automatically if there's no 4th sign.
Yeah.
And what was, and the height, which is.
Right, 9 foot high and then the 35 foot high.
I mean, that's a huge amount if we were going to approve it anyways, of 1,000 square foot, over 1,000 square foot is fine.
See, and then,
Also a gigantic property.
What do they have down at the where Lexus.
It's huge.
Where Nissan is and all that.
You mean all the little signs? that
Yeah,
they
I
did
mean. they
That
probably
seem
will,
to service a prior dealership years?
Yeah.
Years.
And
They're redoing the whole front of it right now.
you know, in the future too, you know, say that becomes something else, what are they gonna do with 1,000 square foot of signage?
Exactly.
A big sign.
Well, I mean, what if it turns into Komatsu? I mean.
Right.
Ford Komatsu. or something.
I think they are in a scenario where they came up with a development and they came up with this massive free signs, and then all of a sudden they realized, oh, wait,
You know,
we missed something here.
We have another 5 acres back
It-
there that does that.
Hey,
so this was actually this sign was in the April, sign package when they came in for the Lexus one. It just wasn't presented then. So. So I mean, this isn't something that's new. It's been thought of after, you know. But
I think it's common for a big dealership to have a brand on the building and a brand on the pole sign. I
Right.
think if this was a more reasonable size and it wasn't a fourth, that it would make sense and be consistent with the character of the neighborhood.
I don't think they need a fourth to do it.
Right, so what I'm saying is if it was shorter and they removed Buick, meaning it was a third sign, I think it would make sense.
what did we do on the last one? Oh, for the blade access wall.
And if,
Okay,
so if they only use 3 signs, the only variances they would need for what they're presenting, though, they would still need the 9-foot and the height
No.
variances to get what they want.
Well,
wait.
only if they wanted, no, because the third one could still be up to 30 feet.
Right, they just couldn't
So
make
the-
it to 35.
At this point, it's the second one.
Right.
so we can- Whatever, but either way, if they want it taller than 30 foot, they would have to come back,
Yeah.
regardless of which number pole sign that they already have.
Right.
it's funny because this one's in a different location.
the other one's a blade sign.
No, this is the April
That's what I was just
application.
looking at.
The April application showed this Lexus sign in a different location. It was more towards West Henrietta Road versus Lehigh Station Road.
Yes, you're right. And that's why it was 35 feet, because that's right where it's against the,
It's the end of the,
Road.
mhm.
um,
I mean, I know
okay,
I travel down West Henrietta Road and even Lehigh Station Road all the time and I see especially the third pole sign technically.
okay. So I guess so I'm generally okay with that. Actually, give me it for 1 second. Yeah, and we need 2 minutes for bio. You want to take a peek at that?
So what do we just, so we're gonna say no,
Mhm.
everything. Okay.
And who had the urgent care?
Urgent
I
care.
had the urgent care.
Are you set? Are you set?
Yeah, I'm just writing it up.
Oops, sorry. Do like that feature, being able to go back and look. That's one thing the paper applications don't really give us.
I agree. Remembering the dates is hard for me, but it was said, so
Yeah.
can we serve?
The way I was doing it was just looking for the address.
Yep.
Making.
And you can't do that on your computer though. You can only do it on this. Cause on the computer, you get the individual drive. The individual folder.
Oh, yeah, that's right, I guess. Huh.
All right, with that, we'd like to reopen the meeting at 8:19. So we have two applications. I think we'll start out with the, hope I'm in the wrong month. Is that the one we should start out with? Sure.
Oh.
No, I'm gonna do West Henrietta Road first, 4700 West Henrietta Road. So we'll do the Lexus dealership. And so with this, you could hear our testimony and where we're leaning or where we're gonna go unless we hear some testimony that changes our mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was listening, so a couple things that I was checking into and looking at. So first off, definitely recognize.
Sorry, I apologize.
No worries. No. I just definitely recognize the want for a shorter sign. I think that's definitely something we can go back and talk to the client about. Like you mentioned, made a little more sense at the previous location. So if we could kind of bring
Table
that to
this?
the client, yeah, if we could, if it's not a approval tonight, then I think we could, if we can table it and talk to the client, that we would definitely try and figure something out, some give and take there. One of the other things that I know you guys are,
Sorry.
no worries. I know you guys are not too jazzed on the number of signs, but one thing to point out too is that we are a 10-acre site. We have
large.
over, I think, 700 linear feet of road frontage on this property. When you look at most other properties, especially properties in kind, like the BMW and Mercedes right down the road, they are significantly smaller road frontage for
Do
those
they have four
dealerships.
signs on the 4 pole signs?
They do not, but they're significantly smaller properties. And at the corner of Calkins and West Henrietta, it's less traffic than West Henrietta and Lehigh. We also are almost identical in style of sign. It is large rectangular signs. We also are not, they also are not adhering to the 9 foot off the ground. So, while it is a variance that we're requesting, and I'm sure they had to do it too, just to note that we are matching the surrounding luxury car dealership design and style for the area. So
Eric, would it be better to withdraw and present a different than to come back and, because they can't ask for more, they can ask for less.
Right. They can ask for less. I thought that's what he was suggesting.
Yeah, so we'll
Mhm.
we'll withdraw this and
less,
so I want to repeat.
For less.
We're
you can Postpone.
less overall
Less than
height.
What you're asking now.
Less
Okay.
square footage, less
Okay.
built posts, or I'm sorry, less height, less
Gotcha.
signs.
I didn't know
less-
if you meant the
We are-
measurements or like you were.
You can't come back and ask for more.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
not planning on it.
both. We are not so excited about a 4th pole sign.
Yeah.
So please, I'm okay to postpone this or table this till next month or
Okay.
2 months, whatever.
But Bob, is it fair to say that we're not in support of a 4th pole sign that doesn't add value, given that it's not a GMC dealership at that entrance?
Well, and to be clear for me, like, I don't see how any situation supports a 4th pole sign.
I'm agreeing with your statement, but if he wants to remove it and try to make some other sort of proposal,
Proposal that shows less.
we
So,
should,
Yep.
he has that choice, but
Right.
that doesn't mean that we'll approve it.
Yeah.
Right.
Right now, we're leaning towards no. So just
Mhm.
to be very vocal and clear.
Yeah.
The board is prepared to vote no today. Your request, I don't have a problem with you coming back trying to do this, but you know what we've said
Yeah.
and what we're looking at. And so this is up to you. If that's your opinion.
What's that?
Well, cause
Bring back next month.
No, I would definitely say that
I would do the same.
I recognize that, but I think that we can talk to the client, come back with less square footage, shorter height, and maybe a more clear plan for what that existing Buick and GMC sign would be. And if we can maybe do that in the future, then maybe we can open a discussion about a fourth sign again, because the fact of the matter is that
I don't
that
think the fourth sign is really a win.
okay.
So
Because my
you're
only
gonna
hang
have
up
to
on that,
figure out a method to
Yeah.
fulfill the need without a fourth sign is what I
Okay.
think.
because
I think you're gonna hear, you've heard the conversation. There's been a
yeah,
lot of back and
absolutely,
forth.
absolutely.
And so I think the fourth sign is where we're having the most
Mhm.
problem. I think your sign that you request is a beautiful looking sign.
Yeah.
I think it looks great with the
Mhm.
building, all sorts of
Appreciate it.
stuff. It gives us other dilemmas.
Yeah.
And that's where I think you're gonna have the most trouble from our board.
right.
Yep.
And
You might convince us. I can't tell you that for sure, but I'm telling you, I don't think that's gonna be a win.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, and just think of the future
Mhm.
goals of the new site.
Mhm.
I mean, there could be a potential where you're coming down in front of us again for a second variance to add
Yeah.
a pole sign there, depending on
yeah. I just
that scenario.
This is tough for him, so I
I
get
know.
it. So
well,
I'm
I
sorry.
believe that the plan is that the used car sign or the used car sign will still be needed as used cars are still sold there, and then the Buick GMC sign is so far down off of the intersection that if you are to remain on those three signs, then even if you were to revamp that one, you're not really servicing that intersection. So that is why, yeah.
Nothing says the Buick GMC sign has to be where it's sitting.
yeah. So that's
So you have decisions to make with your client.
Yep.
And
absolutely.
so with that, we will table this till next month.
Okay. Appreciate it. And thank you for all your comments and thank you for your input. It is much appreciated. So,
Thank you.
Good
Thank
evening.
you.
Appreciate it.
Have a good night.
You as well.
You too.
And then the next one that we're gonna do is the Jefferson Road, 1300 Jefferson Road. Same as you heard a moment ago, you were able to hear our deliberation internally here. Is there anything that you want to add outside of what we've discussed?
No, great deliberation. Again, we appreciate your consideration. So there are a couple of things I did hear and picked up on. So yes, the window screens, in my opinion, I agree. I'm not a big window screen fan. We've adopted those only because in some municipalities, we've not been successful in implementing additional signage on the building. So that was one alternative that they've exercised. In the particular case of this one, that was an acquisition for the University of Rochester. We had two on the building. We were still having visibility issues according to the feedback from the patient population. So we adapted the screens. I believe if we could get some relief and get those channel letters approved on the new building, the standalone building, that there would be definitely no need for window screens. And I would be willing to take that back to the Administration for Emergency Services that operates the urgent cares and have them back away from those. I don't think they're really in need in that event. I will say driving that roadway for a number of years for business purposes, that having the urgent care embedded in that plaza was an advantage, right? It was more of a destination. Believe it or not, our concern moving across that roadway, that service drive next to Duncan on the end cap, we didn't necessarily want to go there. We explored other options in the Henrietta area, weren't successful enough with those developers for what they wanted from the university to develop at their sites, and came back with Benderson to revisit that site. And that's why we tried to work with them on sharing something on that pylon to try to make that standalone building a little bit more visible. Because it was thought from our marketing folks that we were losing that destination location, not being in the plaza any longer. But trying to serve the community, we knew we had to grow that footprint. So we took it for what it was. We got a 6,200 square feet, which meets our standard now for the urgent care sites, with the exception of Monroe Avenue, which is a little bit larger, that's 7,500, knowing that we could potentially pick up the additional 1,800 as volume were to increase. So that's why marketing's come to Pierpont to try to help us out with that exterior signage. And you know, currently sitting at least for a couple more months in your seats for the town of Chi-Lai, signage applications are tough. I get it. We're very not very lenient in the town of Chi-Lai ourselves. So I understand where you're coming from. We're not trying to create sign pollution, but we're also trying to meet the needs that have been put before us to communicate to you. So we do appreciate Terry Zappi and Scott Zappi approaching the town on our behalf. And thank you for your time this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So for the board members, is there any change based on the conversation we just had? No. So with that, we can close this application. Who has it?
Aaron.
Aaron has this. Okay.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, with regard to application number ZBA 2024-145 for an area variance, I move to deny as follows. Whereas the zoning board has duly advertised and held a public hearing, has considered all relevant information, and has considered the potential benefit to the applicant versus the potential detriment to the neighborhood or community in relation to such variance. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the zoning board of appeals makes the following findings of fact. The variance will result in an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to the nearby properties. The repetitive nature of the sign content is not in character with the surrounding area. The variance can be achieved by some other feasible alternative. Currently, allowed signage can be utilized to communicate information effectively. The variance requested is substantial. The variance is substantial in that the second wall sign is being requested for repetitive content. The variance will have a negative effect on the physical or environmental conditions. Additional signage benefits of providing additional repetitive content do not outweigh the negative impact of additional signage. The difficulty relating to the variance was self-created. The difficulty was self-created in that currently allowed signage was not utilized to communicate information effectively. And be it further resolved that based upon the above findings of facts, the zoning board of appeals hereby denies the variance.
Second.
Seconded by Beth. All of it in favor of the denial signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed.
Aye.
Mr. Harrington's opposed. With that, the application has been denied. Thank you for your time. Sorry, we're at the end, it took so long. But at the end of the day, we are closing our meeting at 8:32. Thank you.
Thank you.